Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! How is everybody doing on this Tuesday? We decided to come in live. We don't always do that on Tuesday, but occasionally, a Tuesday and a Thursday, we'll come in live. And I decided today was one of those Tuesdays. So good morning to all. Let me put a little good morning message in here for all of our Instagram folks. And we appreciate them joining with us this morning. And we hope that you're having a fine Tuesday as we stream down towards Christmas. We're looking forward to some time off, being with family. We're going to be doing a little traveling, and we're looking forward to that. Be meeting up with Rob here tomorrow, sometime late tomorrow. Not too late, we hope, because we got a show to do tomorrow night. So plans for tomorrow would be tomorrow morning live here on the Southern Fried Podcast morning show. And then at some point, I'm going to depart, and we're going to stop and see Michael. Don't know if he's in here yet this morning. And then we're going to keep traveling south until we get to the destination, get settled in tomorrow night. Me and Rob live for the first time in the same studio. That is the plan. We look forward to that. Welcome to the Southern Fried Podcast. This is Tuesday Talk with Dave in the AM. Rob is my co-host, but he doesn't do some shows with me, nor do I do some shows with him. Most we do together, but sometimes we do different ones. Hey, Michael. So this is one of those you just got me or Michael in the chat or whoever just enjoying the morning. And I've got to work today. Then I'm off for a number of days. We're going to get a lot of stuff done. We got exciting things for us. Hopefully it'll end up being exciting for you, but we've got a lot of things to get done. We're getting ready for the Cornbread Nation show and our Southern Fried MAGA. We just did a basic outline yesterday of the show format. We have both agreed on that format. That's always hard to do, when you when you can agree with stuff, So think of your famous duos. I don't know that me and Rob ever be famous, infamous maybe. You think of those long-time duos. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis and people like that, and so you go through, you don't do everything on your own. You don't get your way on everything, but we agree on most things. There's sometimes we do disagree on stuff. That's just the nature of it, but it's not a disagreement where we're arguing. It's just usually a disagreement. We come to a compromise but that's what you have when you have a partnership. You have things you agree on. You have things you don't agree on. But usually if it's a good duo, if it's a good matchup, which it is, you find that you agree on most things. So we do agree on most things. So usually when we put forth an idea, it's usually just yes, but then you'll learn as a group to then kind of draw it in a little bit closer. You get the basic outline, then you start learning. You start having discussions on what each element's going to look like and who's going to do what. And that's where we're kind of at right now. We have the basic outline, and we love it. It's exciting to us. It's totally different than our other shows, 100% totally different. And what we do in the Cornbread Nation will not be done in any other show. So it's required us to look at things a little different. All of our shows are unique that way, and that we do some things different, but this one is top to bottom different. Outside of a greeting and a goodbye, it's different. There's nothing like the other shows. So that's what was our intent, and we wanted to make it. We were drawing on a lot of different things in our, things we've experienced, even through our childhood, things that we thought were great, and it sparked an idea. We're not. It won't be like anything exactly like what others did. But we know what we liked and what we wanted this to look like. So we're excited about the Cornbread Nation merch off of that we'll be doing, and new logos and all that good stuff. Kind of showed you the background already. I think we'll ride with that for now. We did that in the promo, and so I'll work that up, and that'll be the background. although this one is a good one too. And it says Cornbread Nation, but we do have the other one. And we're going to be doing some different things. And hopefully Cowboy Cook's going to be a part of that. That is the plan, that Cowboy Cook will be a part of that morning, that crew. I said almost morning. It's not a morning show. It will have a different time slot though, but we're looking forward to that. So, and then Southern Fried MAGA, we'll talk about a lot of things as we go forward in the new administration. We'll be talking about a lot of, goings on in the MAGA movement, not just what President Trump's doing, but different things. We'll be looking at legislation. We may be looking at absolutely a press conference he gave, or some big decision, or somebody in Congress, or Congress itself. We'll be looking at a lot of things MAGA, or just man on the street type stuff, that what's MAGA doing out there. So it'll encompass a lot of stuff. It's kind of it's a news program, but we'll be together and we'll talk about all things MAGA, and that'll drive people crazy. So make America great again, baby. Well, for your Tuesday, I didn't sleep a lot last night. My mind gets to going. I did sleep some, but I do my Dubby drink this morning in my water, the powder, and I need it. And by the way, this is a new Dubby hat. I don't know if you can see that. See the two little red things. This is a unique hat that I ordered from Dubby. It's one of 200. It was a limited run, and I ordered it to advertise with, and I like the hat. But I do have my Dubby this morning. But I was up in the middle of the night. I get very into whenever there's a mass shooting or something like that, because I have studied them going all the way back to Columbine. Now, I'm not any kind of expert, but I have studied them pretty intently. I usually get all the information I can. And I try to walk it back all the way and look for similarities and other things that sometimes they don't talk about. The press leaves stuff, as we know, and go back and look at. They're not all exactly the same, but there are a lot of similarities. And in this one, there was as well. And one of those things I do is read the manifesto if I can get my hands on it. And it's, it's the same old diatribe in a lot of ways, but there are some key things can be picked up. Now I'm still verifying, but there was somebody that was way ahead of the spectrum who actually talked with somebody who was, I don't get this, I do, but I don't. It's the generation we live in. And supposedly this person had a boyfriend they had never met. They call it the e-dating. Oh my goodness. Long distance, boyfriend, girlfriend, never met each other, but I guess that's the world we live in. But they verified some stuff ahead of the officials even, but they had got it out there early, and 6 pages long. It was kind of telling on some stuff. A lot of hatred, obviously, built in, but it talked about from their view, their perspective about their family dynamic, and it didn't really get into reasons why they did what they did, other than just was ready to end it. And didn't want to do it, simply didn't want to do something simple as just as they said, a boring suicide. So, but anyway, spent time in the middle of the night reading up on this tragedy, and let's pray for those folks that are involved, the teacher, the student, others that are injured. Well, and there's more going to be coming out about that, Michael. There is like I said, these latest ones have a lot of similarities that go along with that, and a lot of your mass shootings, among not all of them, but it is off the scale. Usually are under some sort of medication, and mind altering medication, and that could be mind altering. Sometimes more than one medication. Could be 2 or 3, and other things that they're taking, not just that, but other things as well. And they either, it's messing them up. Hello, Bess. It's messing them up, or it's, they've come off of it abruptly, decided, and, they're hearing voices. And I didn't see that in this case so far, but that's not to say that it's not, but, because they were headed that way, the hatred, there's and obviously in that, there's a lot of bullying going on. Good morning, Bess. And hello to you. We appreciate you this morning. Hope you are well. We appreciate you being in here. But Yeah, I mean, there was definitely that. Absolutely. There's still, again, this one debate, trying to figure out exactly where they were at, but there were different kind of pictures that were shown, and well, great. I hope you're getting ready for Christmas. Got all your Christmas bought, and celebration of the birth of the Savior. We're excited about it, but yeah, Michael, and you get what you get. There's only you just go out and read, and a lot of people doing some digging and stuff. And in this case, there was a break on it a lot earlier than usually they clamp down on stuff, but there were people able to get a hold of a lot of information. And so I was trying to get out there in case sometimes they'll start canceling accounts, obviously, for people that release stuff. This person, if you probably read the same thing, said that they got permission to do it. So they had it was theirs and they could do that. So, but this stuff is, I mean, it's messing people up, and there is a full on hatred when they're on these type of powerful medications, and it's no excuse. I'm just looking for answers. I'm not suggesting an excuse, but when you go back and you look, and it is interesting though that the group name that she was wearing on her shirt is, in some cases, not in every case, but in some cases, has been linked to mass killers. And I'm not saying that's fair to them. It's just the way it is. And the link with this one was all the way back, as I mentioned, to the Columbine killer. And I think it was Harris who had on the same name of the same group. Interesting. I just find those things interesting. But yeah, Michael, I mean, it's if you go out and you want to really read, because a lot of people don't want to read, but if you go out and read the testimonies of people who have went down that road and they've decided, I have messed myself up, and have basically kind of come out of it, and some cases had to go get away from some people who were pushing that and get help, kind of a deprogramming kind of thing. But unfortunately, there's also by that time usually been surgeries done, which are they're messed up for life, and the not only the physical part, but the emotional part, and also the chemical imbalances and whatever that could happen because of the things that they took. And now things that they'll never be able to enjoy, that they should have been able to enjoy, that God gave us to enjoy, and that might even be birth of children. They're robbed, and it's heartbreaking to hear them. When I was working, I used to work. And I've been doing a study on this for, a few years back. I was working some night shift on security, and that's a lot of long hours. So you put on a podcast. This is kind of where I really got moving towards podcast. I was watching and listening to podcasts quite a bit. And a few of them were basically bringing folks on and telling their story, or letting them share their story about surviving. But they would talk about different stages they went through and all the different aspects of it, of how they felt. And it's horrible. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. It's painful. It's a physical toil. It's physically damaging. It's mentally and emotionally destructive to these young people. And after all, they're still changing or growing and developing as a person. And it's really hard for them to handle that kind of thing. And let's face it, it's being normal, not doing anything, is hard in any generation. It's certainly hard in this generation. Think of a young lady or a young man, but there's a lot of cases these are girls. Not in every case, but a lot of cases it is. And think of all the changes that a young girl's going through. And I've got Kaylee, who you see sometimes they'll come in and join me. She's 12 years old. She's going through changes every day. And she goes on emotional journeys, and that'll increase as she gets into those teenage years. We're very close. And I will say, though, and it's not an excuse, but let's face it, in these last 2 or 3, the home situation has been horrible, absolutely horrible. In fact, in the one in Georgia, the last one, they arrested the parents, in this case, and there's still not everything known about that. And I'm not, they have cleared the parents. but the weapon may have came. I say may have because this is what I was reading. You can confirm, Michael. It may have been Dad's, but he had it locked up. But she manipulated and I think figured out how to get in. She called him stupid. She did not have anything nice to say about her father. Called him a dope and head and an alcoholic. And Mom was not in the picture, and but said both were uncaring and unfeeling and didn't care if she lived or died. And I suspect abuse. Just guessing along the way. She also said she was bullied. And so there's a hatred that builds. If you go all the way back to Columbine, that was a big driver for them, was the bullying. They were a part of that trench coat mafia. They were, they didn't get along with the jocks. And, high school can be tough. I mean, middle school, high school, it's a hard place sometimes. And I think all of us have went through times where we, I was pulling up I take kids to school. And one of the kids was pulling up to elementary school, and one of the kids said, "Hey, did you see that person that's walking to school right there?" And we're like, it's dark, it was like, yeah, I kind of seen the outline, didn't really see who they were. And this was their description. They said, "That's my bully." And I don't remember ever having terminology like that where you'd say, "That's my bully." But obviously I had to deal with people, and I just stood up, my dad always taught me, don't go looking for a fight, but if you can walk away, walk away. But if you're, there's going to be a time you're going to have to stand. And I was a very shy kid. I mean, extremely shy. People think they laugh about that now. Even people that work for me and with me, and go to church with me, there's no way you're shy. I still have elements of it. I remember when me and Rob were first getting ready to talk about the podcast, it was something I had to overcome. When we went, recording was not too bad, but when we did our first live, it was like torturous for me. It really was. I got to get used to it because there is that element. And I stand in front of people every week, but it's just still something I would overcome. But, there were times I had, in school that I had to stand up, and I did. And because I thought I'm not going to put up with this the rest of my school career, or am I going to put up with a bully? And one of my children had to deal with it as well. And we got him in trouble. Actually got himself in trouble, but we kept highlighting it, and finally we got the proof. And he was taken out of that school and not to return. He made a threat against my son on the school bus as he got off the school bus, and it was heard by the bus driver. And kudos to the bus driver, who immediately took the bus back to the school and alerted the authorities. And they met and they went ahead and called the parents in, and that child was removed from the county schools, never to be seen in regular school ever again because of the threat that was heard by not only the bus driver but all the students, and that was handled. But it's a world we live in, and when I was Kaylee was going into middle school, we went and had a discussion. I mean, they bring all the parents in, the students. It's an introduction to the new school, and I brought this up about bullying. All the kids were concerned about it. I knew several young, same age kids. They were all friends, and I said, this is the concern. They said, well, it's a part of it. Well, that's not the answer I want to hear. Well, we do the best we can. When we see it, we deal with it. It was pretty amazing to hear that. But you go all the way back to, again, Columbine and Harrison-Klebold, they didn't get along with the jocks. And there were a small number of them. They dressed all in black. They painted their fingernails black. They were, of course, they were thick as thieves. Harris was from New York, and I think had a big influence on Klebold. But they got into the guns. They got, you can see those videos are still out there. You can go. And there is a picture of this girl at a shooting a firing range, if it's authentic. I have not seen if that's actually authentic. I've seen a couple of them with a dog, and then another one she just selfie. But there is a picture of at a range. Where'd that gun come from? If that's her. So these are things all got to be looked at. But the Columbine, I mean, my gosh, the body of work that they put out there. Everything from online video games to all their videos they made. There's only one video I think that's never been released by the police, but there is a lot there. You can still go look at all those. And I watched every single one of them. and just trying to figure it out, just studying them as they made those videos and watching their body language, the inflection of their voice, how they said things, reading, reading all the, the writings and stuff. And most people ain't gonna do stuff like that. I don't know why, but it's just something I'm driven to, and I still do that. So once I seen that in the middle of the night and started reading it, I was up for a bit. I had to make myself go back to sleep, but I was like, I'm doing a morning show. No, they never have said that, but there's rumors to that. So, well, she said that if that is her manifesto, she said it was basically that she got it because her daddy she manipulated and outsmarted because her daddy was stupid, so that would lead you to think that it was maybe his, but he did have a gun safe. He slept about 3 hours. Not much more than that for me. I think probably I was up and down several times. Like I'd sleep for 30 minutes and I'm up. Then I'd sleep for 30 minutes and I was up. So I got to work today, and I got a lot to get accomplished before we leave town tomorrow. So I just made myself, had to put my phone down and just get sleep. But I really get into stuff like that. The time just flies by. And the more I read, the more I want to read. And you know how it is. So I don't suffer from insomnia or nothing like that. But my mind gets to working, and I have to just tell myself to stop. And I did that this morning. I'm like, okay, that's it. Phone is down. I'm going to sleep. And, because there was so much out there, that you can just keep reading and listen. And then you know how it is. You get on something else, then you'll run that for a while. And you get on something else, you'll come back. You'll do a full circle back to what you started in, and you start reading that. And so I can be a real night owl with stuff like that. But when there's a case like this, it's I get it. That's the way I feel, Michael. I mean, that's my mind is working on everything. So yeah, you're working on news stories, the changeover of the president, international things, even local things that of course, me with a podcast, I'm focused on. I'm in the shower this morning thinking about shows that I want to put together this evening, that I have been sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, I got to get those done. I want to get those done today. I feel like the guy opens the donut shop, got to make the donuts, got to make the donuts, he's walking along kind of mindless, sleep still, that's why I said, I'm glad that I have the W this morning, because I'm not drinking coffee right now. I'll probably get a cup later, but I just thought I'm doing W this morning. I didn't want anything hot. So I said, I'm doing the W. So, but yeah, I feel it, man. I mean, it's just the way it is. And if there's a major thing like that, I tend to be up all night. I'm a news hound. I like to run stories to ground and just get all the information I can. And I think you're probably the same way. And it's not a desire to, even tell anybody else, although that has become a part of it because we do podcasts and we like to be informative on what we've heard, and we lean on listeners to even share stuff with us because there's so much out there. But it's just something within me. It's for me. I'll use it, but it's me. If I didn't have a podcast, I'm still that way. But certainly with a podcast, you're thinking about information when news hits, and late, and you're trying to get news about it through the day. Because you're coming on early, and that's news, and you want to cover that. And we can look at it from a major news source or even localized news, but you want to have your own ideas about it as well. So this was a small school too, not a lot of students, and so there was a lot of interaction between I wondered about that yesterday, and I suspect there was a little bit of railing in the manifesto about the Christian side. It was a lot less than I thought it would be, to be honest. But there is that tie into Nashville. It's the same kind of thing. I don't know a lot about the school, but I think, and I may be wrong on this, I'll just throw this out there, I think it's like 472. Could be wrong on that. I looked at so much information. But there was a lot of, it's one of those things where you get a lot of interaction between young to older students. And but there was some messaging in there about that, but not as much as I thought. But basically that all kind of summed it all up, that all people's faiths or whatever was just, worthless and useless. And again, a lot of hate. But it's kind of like reading Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. I mean, it's just page after page of lunacy, but it's out there, and it's something to read. Not to give them any kind of credit or anything, but just looking for what was their mindset right before it. Now, apparently, if this is the manifesto, she sent it to this so-called boyfriend, but he said he didn't, because I guess he's in school too. He didn't see it until she sent it about 20 or 30 minutes before the attack, but he didn't see it till like late after, or like 1 p.m. or 1:12 p.m. or something like that. So he didn't, people were getting on him like, why didn't you tell the authorities? He didn't see it till after it was already over. Also had supposedly sent it live out on a social stream, but failed to fully send it live. A lot of people are, pretty harsh wording back, like, okay, now that you're in hell, could you come back and release that you didn't get released? But had intended on releasing it live to the world about 15 minutes, 17. I think it was like 17 minutes before, and then that was it. So, but yeah, there'll be a lot more about this. They had the age wrong at first too. They were saying older, and then revised that as information came out. And there were people online had already figured that out and said they had it wrong. But again, they're getting information really fast. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, I mean, you can see it is troubling. I mean, if you didn't see Roberts when he came on live, I mean, it was very upsetting to him. He messaged me, and he was the one that alerted me to it. I was in meetings, and I'm not looking at my phone in a work meeting, so I didn't even hear about it. And then he was getting me a little bit of information, and he told me he was going on, and then he came back and said, "I'm sorry, man, I lost it." Unprofessional. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just how we feel. We're human, and we're not some mindless robot that reports on a story. We're human beings, and that affects us. They always say, don't show emotion in broadcast or in the interviews. I shed a couple of tears in an interview once, and I said, I'm sorry. I said, and I didn't get the job, and I don't know if it's because of that, and I don't care. It was how I felt at the time because of things that came to my mind that I was very passionate about in the job. And people that have been, it was a safety job, and I was thinking of people that have been hurt, and it was very, very moving to me. So I'm like, I don't, you know what, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. And I think that's one thing me and Rob, we do have, is we are who we are. We're not trying to be anybody else but who we are. We want to do that in a professional way, sure, but we're real. We're human. We're not unfeeling. We're not robots. What you see is what you get. You can like it, hate it, or be indifferent towards it, but that's who we are. And that was something that we said early on, is the slip ups, the mistakes. There's no editing that goes on. We've never recast a show. Even the recorded early on, we recorded everything. We never went back and said, we're going to redo that. Now, I've redone commercials because I want those to be right. And those are the blooper reels that you don't see when you get tongue tied and stuff. But what you see in the middle of a live it's what it is. And if it's real bad, we'll just close it and come back in. But it is what you get. So I want that realism. Because you become family together. I mean, everybody that's in the Southern Fried, we're all part of something that's bigger than any one of us, and we're connected that way. I was at the local high school as part of a committee that I'm on, and the school superintendent actually. I don't know if he had seen my card or if he's seen me on here. I don't know, but he knew who I mean, he's met me before we talked, but I don't remember if I even told him about it the last time, because I don't even know that. I think it was just early on in the podcast when I actually met him before we just started it. But anyway, he said, Southern Fried, kind of gave me a little fist bump. He said, I said, do you like what you do? And I said, I absolutely love it. And that's definitely a keeper statement there. Mine is too. But I said, I absolutely love it. I do. And I'm having fun. And that's the main thing. If as long as you're having fun, because you know how it is. I mean, life is life. And there's been days on here that me and Rob, either individually or collective, we don't feel good. And there's been a couple of times I missed, and I hate to do that, but it was such that I felt so bad that I felt like I'd be a detriment to the show instead of any kind of a help. So I just bailed, and Rob's had to do that a couple of times as well. That's life, though. I mean, if I got the flu, I'm not going to be on. That's not happened, but very rarely in my life. Usually it's just other things. We all have, as we get older, we all have life's troubles, with health. Nothing major, thank goodness, thank the good Lord. But sometimes you just don't feel good, you're sick at your stomach or whatever. So yeah, we're weary, absolutely. I mean, there's time Robert was weary last night. He goes, "Man, I am going to bed." We normally have a fairly long post show discussion. It's our time to debrief and then talk about next steps, what's up, what we're doing. It could be a little bit of anything. And sometimes those go on for a while. But last night was really quick because he said, "Man, I don't know about you, but I'm beat and I'm going to bed." I said, "Go on." I still had work to do. I said, "I'm going to be on for a bit." He actually called me so that I could just be working on the computer, but I actually did some recording and a little bit of other things. But when you're tired, you're tired. I mean, and when you get late like that, even if I'm tired though, I just cannot. It's rare for me to go to bed before 11:30 to midnight. So I do a lot of, and then I'm back up for morning show. So like sometimes Tuesday or Thursday, I'll use this sort of a sleep late kind of thing. I'm still working. So I get it, Michael. You start early and you get sleepy. Sometimes what I'll do is I get done with the program and that just begins the work. There's things that has to be done out there on the stream. So I can do most of that from my phone. So I'll go relax and put a ball game on or something, and I'll be doing that. And I have fell asleep, phone in hand. I'll wake up and it's a show that I either didn't get loaded up or it's in the process of loading up, and I actually hit the thing and messed it up or whatever, have to redo it. But there's nights like that I'm weary. But once I wake up, I'm good for 20 minutes or something. I'll do 20 minutes of work and go back to sleep, or not even mean to, just fall back out. One night I was doing that, and my son woke me up, scared me. He come in, and he said, "Dad," I jumped, and I was like, I was loading a show up. I don't know how long I'd been asleep. I do believe in the power of a good nap. Absolutely, I believe in the power of a good nap. So, but not too long. If I go too long, then it takes me a while to shake out of it. But 20 minutes max. About 10 to 15 minutes is premium for me. If I could just doze for about that long, I'm good. I'm good for the rest of the evening. So yeah, if you're younger folk listening in, you don't do naps, stay tuned. You probably will. What I used to do, and sometimes, this is before Kaylee came to live with us. This even goes back. Think about it. She's been with me since she was just almost 2. She's 12. So 10 years ago, I was doing naps. I would come in from work and, the kids were all grown up and gone. No grandkids unless they came by. And I'd come home and my wife knew my routine. I'd come in, I'd sit down and I'd just lay my head back and I'd take a nap for I'd say, don't let me sleep too long. If I do, that was rare, but if I was real tired. So you do 30 minutes is good. I used to get 9 and work all night. Yeah. But that's as far as I like to go. 30 minutes. It takes me a few minutes. I have to really kind of come out of that a little slower, but it takes me a few minutes to kind of get over it. But once I do, I'm good. But that's why I like the short ones, because I get just enough of a kick off of that I can keep going for a long time. But I don't feel groggy or anything. It's kind of like a second wind, the sprinters, you hit the wall and then move beyond. So again, we appreciate all of you being in here on the stream this morning from Instagram and Rumble and Facebook and YouTube and X and everywhere else, Twitch maybe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for Southern Fried Podcast. I'm your host, Dave in the AM. The streams are growing all the time, so I know we have new people that are popping into the lives as well that maybe have never seen us, and so we appreciate you. Normally Rob is my co-host, but he doesn't do Tuesdays, and he's sleeping like a baby this morning, I'm sure. So he did a lot of yard work yesterday. He's trying to get ready for us to come down. He wants to have a bonfire, and he's trying to get something ready for that. We're going to do some things with the kids too. I have, it's amazing to me, and this thing is really taking off. And we may cover that sometime, maybe right before Christmas. The last live we do before Christmas in the evening, I think we might talk about the reindeer games. I don't know how many of you have done that, but those are cool ideas. And I was telling some people at work yesterday I said, we're going to do the reindeer games. And there's this lady, she's probably my age or a little bit more, probably a little bit more older than me. And she said, what in the world's the reindeer games? And so I was describing to her, and really the ideas are endless. And they're not expensive. I mean, it's very cheap to do. I mean, it kind of harkens back to how you kept kids entertained when I was young. There was no money involved really, but you take mainly things that you already have at home. You might have to buy 2 or 3 things at a dollar store, and it ain't going to be much. Even in today's process, it's not going to be bad. And you can entertain kids for a good while, and they would love it. They will have fun at it. You can do competitions and all kinds of things. And so the reindeer games, I don't know if any of you have done that, but I think it'd be great for my grandkids while we're down. We're going to be really busy doing a lot of stuff that we're doing. So we've got to build in some stuff too. There'll be times I'm sure I'll be at Rob's recording while they're at the hotel doing whatever. So then I'll catch back up with them. But it's going to be fun. We've got a lot to get done, getting ready for 2025. So it's a great time to get this done. And pictures and promos, and we're going to record a number of promos that will be used throughout the year, and get some pictures in different locations, and hopefully hook up and do some man on the street interviews, meet some people down there together, and kind of work that area together because we've always just been separated. But anyway, that's for us. But we're excited about it. It may not be exciting to the world at large, but it's exciting to us. But it will benefit you because it'll help us to grow things and do things that we haven't done, and really probably a great in-person strategy session for 2025, which we need desperately. We do take time to do that, but this will give us a chance to sit down in person and kind of map out a little bit more about what we want to do next steps going into new year, and as we create a business, and that's something we're definitely going to do. Appreciate the likes this morning, Cindy and Michael. Appreciate that. The thumbs up, and I'm glad there's not a thumbs down. I might get a lot of thumbs down, like you can get that on comments, but people are real respectful. Every once in a while I get something out there on one of the streams, and I just like, okay, and I don't erase it unless it's filthy. They can rip me. I don't care. I'll go in there and they'll say, well, I'm sorry we didn't meet your expectations. I'm so glad there's other podcasts that you can visit though. Have a nice day. You got to let stuff roll off your back. You got to be a little bit thick-skinned. There's some, and sometimes they just don't even like something you said. Usually that's what I get. They don't like, MAGA's comfort. They don't like one person. I remember I don't know if you saw the house I put up. And I said, YouTube does have that, the thumbs down. So yeah, some of them do, some of them don't. But I showed that house, and somebody come in and said, obviously, so it was a pretty home at one time, but obviously a home in a red state. That's the comment I got about the house. And I don't always comment. Sometimes I just ignore them and move on. It's just like a chuckle. But on this one, I said, listen, I don't know where you're from, but let me tell you something. I have traveled a good portion of the United States. I've been in a lot of states. I've not been in every state, but I've been in a number of them, and a lot of them are blue. And I can tell you that every state has houses that look like that. Don't even try that. There's poor areas in every area and every part of this nation. You got your rich areas. And what I told them was you can go to a city and you can find the fanciest street you want. And it might be a community. And if you'll drive 3 to 6 streets in any direction, 3 to 6, you'll find dumps. You'll find places that are falling in condemned. It's that close. And sometimes it's within one street. It's like going down to, and I've never been there, but it's like going down to, what is it, down New Orleans, you go down on Bill Street or not Bill, whatever the name of that main thoroughfare there. You can get one block off and you're in a mess sometimes, you know, crime and all kinds of stuff, run down things. But it was a stupid comment. There is red and blue don't have a dang thing to do with it. Poor is poor, and there's all kinds of poor out there. And in fact, there might be more of them in a blue state because of the policies and the inflation and the taxation that's going on. So yeah, don't even start that with me. It was a snide, stupid comment that had no basis in fact. If you're gonna try to talk smack like that, bring receipts. That's all I got to say. But you might be mad. I just thought you think you're gigging me. No, you're not. You're making yourself look stupid. So, but yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people that still think MAGA is a cult or disease. Yeah, they have the MAGA disease. No, I do the MAGA minute every 5 days a week, and I enjoy that. I get a lot of people love that. A lot of people love it. And it'll actually we'll probably roll in. Me and Robert in the new show. One of the things I'll say is we'll probably have a counterpoint, not against each other, but we'll both have it. We're going to both have our own 1 minute or minute and a half spiel that will be on stage. And mine may be I may just use the MAGA minute as a part of that. It's the only thing that would be anything like something else. I may even change the name, but it's commentary, and we'll both have that, and it harkens back to things we grew up with, where you have commentary. Let's see here what Michael says. Biden administration signed a contract 49,000 workers. I did see that, so that Dodge can't bother them. Well, we'll see what we can undo. Moving on. Maybe just fire them. Michael, I mean, can you fire them? I'm not being mean, but can you just? Yeah, that's true. She's starting to sound like us. We're an influence, Oh, it was. If you could only have seen me and Chickbait, and if you're out there, Chickbait, I love you. I do. We're friends. But our first, one of the first times that she ever came on live with us, after the show, everybody's left. It was just me and her. And we had a long, honest discussion about stuff. And there were times she'd be like, "No, Dave, that's not true." And she would just be she was getting a little mad. And then I would say, "No, your facts are wrong, Chick. I'm sorry." And we had this sort of mini debate. It's funny to hear her now versus then. It really is. But sometimes she's horsing around. "Yep, you're fired." "Oh, you want to work at home? We can make that possible. Go ahead. How about it? You can stay at home all the time." It reminds me of there's a scene in the old Dallas TV show where, if you ever remember that, J.R. Ewing, if you don't have to remember the rest, but his nemesis was Cliff Barnes, and Cliff Barnes gets this. He finds an old deed that entitled his dad. It was in perpetuity, that entitled him to a third of the profits off of a certain oil field, and it wasn't a rich field, but it did produce and it made money. So he comes in and shows it. JR gets up and says, "Well, that's pretty good." He said, "Well, good for you, Cliff. I'm glad to see, that you've done something here." And so he calls the foreman at the field. He says, Joe, or whatever it was, "Joe, how many barrels a day are we pumping off that field?" "Oh, impressive." He said, he looks at Cliff and said, I figure that's about $500,000 a year for you. Now, this is back in the 70s, that's a lot of money anytime, but especially then. And he's got a little smirk on his face, and he says, he gives him like the thumbs up smile and all that. And then he tells the guy, he said, "Well, Joseph, what I want you to do," he said, "shut the field down." So, a third of nothing is nothing. It's one of my favorite scenes. I mean, it's like, I've got you, you'll pay me. How do you like that? And he goes, "Oh, congratulations." He never got mad. He just said, "Shut the field down." That's kind of the way President Trump, President-elect Trump. Let me be official here. Somebody will gig me on it. He's president-elect. Donald J. Trump. That's the way he rolls. I could see him just picking up the phone like that and say, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, let me just make a quick phone call here. Hey, we'll have some champagne in a minute about that, and call up somebody and just, you're fired. Now, what were you saying? You know, I could see him doing something like that. It cracks me up. You know, don't ever try to out BS someone or strong arm someone. It reminds me. I'm a fan of TV and movies, but it reminds me of the Patton movie where he won't shake hands with the Russian general, and the Russian, he tells the translator, I'm not drinking with a Russian SOB. And you can see the guy's face; he's grinning, and he gets that mad look. The little, the Russian comes out, and he says, he translates back. He said, well, how about one SOB drinking with another SOB? And they hook arms and stare each other down. That was a classic scene. And I could see that kind of conversation going on with the president. Like, you're not going to outbat him. You're not. You may match intensity, but you won't outbat him. No, he'll match it. That's just, he's a bulldog guy. He's a street fighter. And he's super smart. I mean, he's willing to, he just knows how to roll that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Michael's got some man that bought a bunch of border panels, contacted President Trump, offered to sell them for twice the cost of the panels new. Oh man. I just imagine, I would love to hear, you know what I'd love to hear? I would love to hear the daily interactions of President Trump just talking to people that he meets, from officials to people on the street, to his staff, when he's off camera and he's just interacting and going about his day. And I love that. I love it. Oh, he's whether you like him or not, he's confident, and he's able to back it up. It's not a misplaced confidence. He sees, he's able to project out ahead. And he is a funny guy. He gets gigged on that a lot. He's a funny guy. He likes to joke around, and then they take those and try to turn them around on him. But he's a guy who likes to cut up, and I'd say he's a lot of fun to be around. I wouldn't want him mad at me, that's for sure. Listen, what'd you say? You bought him for $5 and marked him up like 15,000%. Hey, there's an entrepreneur in everyone. The old horse trader, figuring out things like that. Being at the right place at the right time, all kinds of things you can do. Speculating. Sometimes inside information, that's what the politicians do. They know where a big business is coming. They know about that. They're not supposed to act on it, but they do. And they'll buy up land nearby, available land. The dilapidated land they get at a fraction of what it could be worth, and they know something's fixing to happen and also road expansion. Like, that they're fixing to widen a road. Think about it. You can go through and buy property up, and it's guaranteed sale. It's a guaranteed flip. The government, the state's going to buy it. They're going to buy it from you. Now, they're not going to give you everything you want, but if you bought it on the cheap, they're going to come through. You're making money while you're doing that. So I know of a former mayor in our area that did that. He did quite well. It was a controversial thing, but he said he just was investing. Sure, yeah, he's investing all right. One billionaire said he was going to buy a lot of them and give them to Texas. Amen. God bless Texas. Can you imagine being down there on the border? My gosh. Can you imagine trying to run a ranch down there on the border and you don't know what's, they're slipping in on your property at night, killing your beef for food and trying to steal your clothes if you got them hanging out on the line, and, just going through your stuff. You don't know if you're going to come up on one that's carrying drugs, carrying weapons. It's a gang. You just don't know. It's a government sale, so anyone can buy them and have a government account. Okay, cool. Maybe buy some up, put them in your yard. Name it continuation of the wall. Well, wouldn't that make neighbors mad? There's always one on every street. There's always one out here. There he is, putting up this Trump's wall. That'd be a cool idea. actually have a section you put up this wall. Call it the border north or something. have MAGA on it, pictures of Trump and everything. Oh my goodness, people would get so mad at you. There used to be a Michael, you remember, and I bet you do. You remember the guy that used to run? I think it was a tire or garage or tire shop down there in Lafayette. As you come out of Lafayette, and he used to have all the anti-government and signs and stuff he'd put out in front of his business. Man, they hated that guy's guts because he would call them out. He would call out politicians and local officials, and that went on for years. I guess he finally went out of business. He might even be passed away. I don't know. But I don't know if you remember that. He had a sign out front, and it was loaded with anti-local stuff. Sometimes federal, but it was mainly local stuff. And there used to be another one at a McDonald's, is across the street, and they got tired of the lights of the drive-thru when they built the McDonald's. The people in the drive-thru, it would shine straight into their house. And so, I mean, obviously that would annoy you, just constantly getting lights just coming across your windows. So he put up a big wall, but instead a fence, big fence, like 10 foot tall, wooden fence. But on that, he displayed messages because he thought, I've got an audience right here for everybody that's coming through to still. And so he would put the same kind of stuff, anti-government or things he wanted to say, slogans or whatever. Okay, you said that's Robertson. I do because I worked there until he passed away. Okay, he did pass away. But he definitely had a beef with local authorities in that area, the county as well as the city down there, I guess. But I wasn't there all the time. But at that time, I was going to church over on 151. I was in Lafayette a lot, and I worked down there at one time too. So I would see those because I worked right there, not far from where his shop was, and I would come out and see those. I'd always chuckle. I'd be like, I thought it was cool, but also wondered how much flack he got from, if they tried to come in and check codes on him or investigate him, or, when you go on a thing like that, they're going to come at you full bore. Absolutely. Good Lord. In the government, they said, wow, he definitely was outspoken. About that. And I'd say there's people like that around the country, freedom of speech. And, but his was pretty directed. There was one time, and I know this for a fact, I won't name the city, but it's local, and you've been there many times. And there was a guy that drove a van through the city, and it was election time. And it was very derogatory. No curse words or nothing like that, but it was basically that, these crooks that was running for office, nothing but a bunch of crooks. And, all the things we said about Biden probably, but it was on this van, and it had extra signage. The whole thing was covered. And he must have went through a tank of gas. He just ride down the streets, kept going through downtown and everything. And I know this for a fact, that they got mad. And they went and had a talk with him and pretty much told him to leave the city, or he would not like what happened. And now, that's not right, but that's what happens. Is like we can't tell you not to have that stuff on there and drive through, but there's other things going to happen to you if you don't move along. That's pretty much said. Just move along. You've made your point. Move along. And basically what I got is that the police was going to start finding things to pull him over for and harass him and find things right. I'm just telling you, I know because I heard it. I was there. I heard it from the other side, actually. They were mad about this. I had a little connection, and guess what? Mr. Van went away. He went outside the city limits. He still did it, but he went outside the city limits. So, okay, it's an interesting story there, Mike. He finally took the signs down. The county gave him all the time. Well, that's one way to, that's a good American way to settle things. You take your signs down. We'll give you some business. I love it. America. Well, it worked out for both. They didn't have to see the messaging, and he made some money, which I guess helped you if you worked there. Oh, is the tire community like being painters, the painter community, or welders? You know, are they all about the same? Is it has its own little subculture? Those at the tire places. I just wonder. You know, you've probably obviously done it at different places. I didn't know that. So interesting. I actually went to theology college in California years ago. So it's amazing what you find out about people, their backgrounds. It's like you don't know me, and a lot of times we don't. And that's why on the podcast I love to hear people's stories. And when we have guests come on, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. No guest is ever on this podcast to fill a spot. That's absolutely never happens. But there's a lot of podcasts that do that. They just like to have people on. I get it, you know, but we do like to have people on. But we're not thumbing through the phone book, just looking and calling up people and going, hey, you want to come on a podcast? We need to fill a spot. We don't, that'll never happen here. I would be bored to death with that. And I'd have to deal with people that I didn't want to deal with because they weren't supposed to be here. What we do, and we're both unified in this from the very beginning, is we want to let people tell their story. All we ask is that they keep it family friendly. You know, we push the corner sometimes a little bit. We let people be who they are. We just ask them to, you know, not say certain things and stuff. Cause, you know, we do like my granddaughter. I mean, she was in the stream last night. You know, but we're not expecting them to be, perfect or anything, but we want to hear their story. And sometimes in telling that story, it's going to push the envelope a little bit, but the human part of that, everybody has a journey, and I want to hear their journey of how they got there. And there's people, I just run into them all the time. And that's the people that I give my card to and say, if you're willing to come on, we'd love to have you come. Some do, some don't. Some have best intentions, we lose contact, or some don't. But let's see, Michael's guy here. A lot of tire people were very bad towards us because we didn't back down and fix stuff they couldn't. When I was running the store by myself, I had a couple that tried to cut my throat. Good Lord. So they just tried to undercut you, you know, try to destroy your business. We'll take you out. We'll cut prices. We'll do different things. We'll steal your business. I can see it, though. I can see it. You know, think about it like this, though. If you have a business and you're in a town, well, that's good. That's a good thing to have, man. That's a good thing to have. If you have a business and somebody moves in, you know, that's the threat. I mean, they're threatening your livelihood. And so you got to find a way to, but you do have your customer base, and that's important. That's why customer service is so important. I know people that go back to a business, even pay a little more because they like who they're dealing with. They don't want to deal with the other person. But pricing does affect a lot of people, so it can cut into your bottom line pretty quick. So you know that can happen. That happens in security business a lot. You have a security company that has a business, has a contract, and even though they have a contract, all contracts can be broken just like that. I mean, come on. So what they do is they come in and they'll undercut the business. They'll even break even, and I think at times maybe even take a slight loss to get the business, and then they'll start slowly moving up. What that place gets is they get a savings, and then it slowly builds back up. Then they'll do it again. They'll just continue to do that. Of course, the pricing gets a little bit more. The price point is a little bit higher each time, but they're still saving money, and it's a game. Now, some places are loyal and they'll stay with a company forever, and customers will do the same thing. They'll stay with a company forever because, again, they like the people. They build up. You have all their records. You know they know you. You walk in the door and say, "Hey, Bob, how you doing? How's that? How's that grandchild doing?" You go another place and they're like, "Can I help you?" You know, they don't know who you are. So it pays to build a relationship with the people, and you do them right, they'll do you right. And they'll continue to do business. I'm pretty loyal. I don't like bouncing my business around unless I just have to. Sometimes people go out of business, or maybe they sold. Customer service goes in the tank. Or they can't get you what you need, and that happens too. It's like, well, we can't get that anymore, and so you got to go to somebody else just because you have to. But if your business is if it's good and solid, and you have that relationship, I'm going to hang with it. And you should have that personal touch, Michael. Absolutely. But when you're talking about this right here, we could do anything. I was talking to these plumbers once, and they're still in business, and we'd had a job that a couple of them said, "Oh, we can't do nothing with that." And I was telling them while they were doing it, I said, "Man, I appreciate you." I had a couple turn it down, and he goes, "It's not fun work. I mean, it's crappy work, right?" And he said, "Well, that's because they don't want to work hard. They want a fast, easy buck." He said, "Yeah, it's going to cost," but he said, "But we'll do anything. We will do anything." And he said, "That's how we get our business. We'll take every job they won't do, and we'll do it." And he said, we know, we hear that all the time. Yeah, they want the quick turnaround. They want to be on a job site for an hour and gone. We got one that's going to take us half a day and maybe have to come back tomorrow and finish up, but we'll still cut you as decent a price as we can. And you don't forget people like that. Michael says, my customers came from farm work and still call me. That's cool. They call and check on you. That's when you've really had something solid. And that is good to have. And that's what I love about the American success story. And I'm going to have to get off here at 7, got school and work. And the last day of work, though, be on vacation after the day. But you have that type of relationship where you build a business and you make a difference in the community, whether it's insurance, tires, whatever it is. And you go back to that. And you're supporting local small business. And I'm a big believer in that. In fact, these businesses that we're advertising for, whether it's Dubby, I've bought stuff from Dubby. Well, we're an affiliate with them. Mammoth Nation, I've bought something from United 1776. I will look at the camo group that we mentioned. I'm going to look and see if I can find something that fits me and give them some business. I believe in that. Yeah, you have a blessed day too, man. Maybe on this evening with a couple of shows live as well. That's the plan. A couple I hadn't done in a bit, so stay tuned for that if you can join. We'd love to have you. Hey, everybody, have a great day out there. Got to head to work. It's a work day, so let's get out and make them be great and be great in America. Be like a fellow podcaster says, if you're an American, act like it. I love that. I love that slogan. I'm not stealing it. I'm just saying I like it. If you're an American, act like it. And a great day. I'd work 12 to 16 hours, make $750. Hey, there you go, man. If you're willing to put the elbow grease in it, work hard. There's money to be made. It's hard work, absolutely. You got to stay after it. You got to get it, but there's money to be made. And people get the service they need. They don't mind paying it, and they know you're going to take care of them. Hey, y'all take care. We'll see you soon. Thanks for being a supporter and follower of the Southern Fried Podcast. We'll see you this evening if you're able to join us. God bless.